Brittney Griner turns 32 years old today. Yesterday marked 8 months in a Russian jail, with the Kremlin saying they've got no interest in negotiating her release.
Yeah, absolutely. And for more on the Griner situation, let's bring in someone who has followed it from the start, ESPN commentator and host of the Holding Court podcast, Patrick McEnroe. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. Nice to see you all.
Good to see you.
Great to see you. So an aide to Russian President Putin says that Joe Biden is over-exaggerating the chances of securing Griner's release, possibly ahead of the upcoming midterms. What do you make of this?
Well, I don't think it looks good at all for Brittney Griner. And let me sort of summarize it from a slightly different perspective. You look at the levels of analysis. That's what they do in international relations. And you can really break it down into three pools. Number one is the individual. Number two is the state. And number three is internationally. Individually, it's pretty simple. Putin's in charge. He's doing whatever he wants. He's going to use Miss Griner as a bargaining chip. He's got one goal. That's to maintain power. Number two, you look at it from a state perspective. We've seen in the last couple of weeks, especially, there's been pushback internally within Russia from some of the lower economic citizens of the country that are unwilling to be recruited into the armed forces in Russia. So this has created some controversy within the country. We all know that Russia lacks the institutions to control Putin's power, to check his power. So he really relies on a patronage network of people that are supporting him. Will he use his power to enlist children of the patronage network to come into the armed forces? That's something to continue to watch. And then here's, I think, where it relates to Miss Griner. On the international side of it, there's a couple indicators that might impact her. Number one, Russia wins the war in Ukraine quickly. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Number two, Ukraine wins the war quickly. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So it appears that the world is headed for, at some point, some sort of stalemate between Ukraine and Russia. Now, whether or not the U.S. wants that or not remains to be seen. But that seems to be inevitably within a couple of years. And until that happens, I believe that Putin is going to keep Miss Griner in detention in Russia, and she'll be used as a political pawn, as she's been used already. And at some point in time, she'll be used as either a prisoner swap when an agreement is made, or a peace accord. She'll be a part of that agreement that takes place. So all I'm saying here to you is that I don't think this looks good at all for Miss Griner to get out anytime soon, because here's what Russia's foreign policy is all about at this point: pissing off the rest of the world, including the United States. Even their buddy China.
I would say particularly the United States, Patrick, particularly the United States. Don't forget, we're spending more money than any other country by far on the war in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is not happy with the U.S. Do you think the same situation, all things being equal, would happen if Donald Trump were in office? And I'll add to that, Barack Obama in office.
Well, that's a great question, and I'm not sure I have enough experience to have the answer to that one. But all I'll say is that for the situation that Brittney Griner is in, I said it when it first happened. It was a mistake on her part to bring whatever she had into the country, to take that chance.
Right.
And at that point in time, the war was just beginning, and maybe she thought she could, this sort of situation would not apply to her. But now the game has changed, the dynamic has changed. And it appears that Vladimir Putin's going to use her in some sort of agreement of what happens between the Ukraine and Russia, if that happens.
No, I'm with you, and I don't mean to cut you off. I just think there is a political bent to this because we're 3 weeks away from the midterms. I'm surprised that the administration isn't doing more to get Paul Whelan, the U.S. Marine that's in jail over there, and Brittney Griner out just for political purposes. Fine. Is that shallow? Yes, but it might get them home.
Well, I think, Rob, you're right, and I think that they're trying to do it. But the bottom line is Putin could care less. He's going to wait out for the midterm elections. He's going to wait it out likely till 2024 to see what happens there. He's holding the cards in this situation, whether it's Paul Whelan, Brittney Griner, or other prisoners in Russia. There's not a lot that I'm not even sure that if Trump were back in power, what could he do to change this dynamic? This is a very, very dicey situation for Griner and the United States.
Although there was no war in Ukraine.
No, we're hearing that her conditions in the jail are horrible too.